following Coach Carl's rules, but I still don't know what he means about control the center.
Yeah, same here. Let's go ask Coach Carl.
Well, this week's video nearly didn't make it. I was very tempted to consign this one to the bin. However, I've had a relook, and despite its many shortcomings and flaws, I thought, well, it'd be good for you to see the video as it came out. Welcome back, Lancashire Juniors and fellow chess enthusiasts. This week, I'm playing two chess games. They are very quick time controls, 3 minutes plus 2 seconds. In game one, I attempted to play the chess opening without following the principles that I talked about last week. I was expecting to get a difficult game. However, as you will find out when you come to look at game one, not everything went to plan. Game two, I decided to play using those opening principles, and we'll see what the outcome of that game was. So come with me. Let's go play over these two games, and then we'll evaluate how they turned out afterwards. Okay, this is the game where I'm going to not play opening principles. I'm going to play silly little moves. As you can see, my opponent is grabbing the center, like they should do. And I am just making random moves and seeing where the game goes. As you can see, I've left my pawns quite far back, and my opponent is probably a little bit puzzled as to how a strong player like me is playing silly little chess like this. Now my opponent has defended and is now decided he's going to get all his pieces into the attack. I'm going to castle. Now, if you look at the chessboard, both of us are out our openings. We have now both castled. If you look at black's perspective, you look along the board, along here, I am camped behind my lines. My pieces don't have very many squares to go to. My opponent, however, is able to move their pieces a bit further forward. And as you can see, they've got more space to develop. Does this mean I am losing the game? No, it doesn't. It just means that my game is going to be a little bit more awkward to play. And I am now going to have to rely on being the better chess player. But I put myself at a disadvantage by not playing opening principles. So I'm going to reroute this knight. I have a plan. My opponent has seen the plan. I was going to attack this. I will move my knight forward again. Single threat moves, just attacking the bishop. But I can win the bishop pair now. And I now win the bishop pair. I'm now going to set a threat for my opponent and see if he spots it. My opponent didn't see the threat and is now going to lose their queen. So, whilst the opening principles are good for chess play, the key thing for your games of chess is to understand tactics and to spot those tactics quickly. So apologies there. Not a very good example of trying to say why good opening play is best for chess. But at the end of the day, I hope it becomes an example of doesn't matter how the opening goes, games of chess are won with tactics. Okay, let's see if we can play a game with opening principles and see if it doesn't finish as quickly as the last game. So I'm playing a d4 opening, but it's still a pawn to the center, and I brought my knight out. My opponent's done the same. I'm now going to bring my bishop out. It controls some part of the center, and this is the Jababa London. Now my intention here is to castle queenside. So to do this, I first of all start setting up this pawn storm against my opponent's pieces. My whole plan here is to swap off the bishop and castle queenside. And now I've got my last knight to come out. Now I've developed, it's now thinking about how do I move forward next. My opponent wants to come to this square, but he's not, his king's still in the center. So I'm going to attack the center, hope that he comes here first, so I can move my queen to one side. I can now tell the knight to go away. And then hopefully I can win a pawn in the center by a threat. It's all tactics. It's pinned. A simple win of a pawn. Okay. Need to be sensible. I can leave the pawn where it is, or I can try to go with tactics. Need to be a bit cautious. Let's try a tactical shot. This might work, it might not. I'm asking my opponent, what do you want to do next? And they obliged. And now I can bring the knight in. It's fulfilled its job. And now I can attack the queen. The queen's now threatening this square. Always be on the lookout. Don't forget, you need to make sure that you keep an eye on everything on the board. But now my opponent is trapped in the center. His king is trapped in the center. I know where that king's going to be. And now my opponent is trying to come into this square. Always be mindful of what my opponent's threats are trying to be. What he's trying to do. He might actually sacrifice. Oh, we could have sacrificed his bishop on this square. I'm going to bring my knight over this square to look after that because that's where he wants to put his knight. He can still probably attack. And he's threatening a nasty check. Bishop takes and capturing. So I need to move out of the way. But my opponent might get a perpetual check here, and he's gone for it. He's gone for the perpetual check. Is there any way that I can block the perpetual check? Well, I think I have to try this way and hope for the best. My opponent has played really well here and is really playing well. I now need to open up the board because I'm in trouble. Now my bishop protects his square now. Always remember that your opponents don't have to resign just because you've got a good position. You still have to play the chess. And my opponent's the same level as me. I've got to play my best chess as well. And what I'm hoping to do here is take by the fact that this bishop is on 3, I'm going to sacrifice my knight on this square. And my opponent doesn't take it. He is going to try but I think he may have miscalculated here, because I come with a check. I come with check. And I can win the knight. And now my opponent is obviously down in material. I need to win the game, so apologies if I am going a little bit fast. My opponent now resigns. Let's take a look at the first game that we played, where I didn't actually follow opening principles very well, but I still won the game because my opponent missed a tactical shot in the middle game, which allows me to win the queen. So let's have a quick look at the game. My opponent played opening principles, grabbed as much of the centre as they could, and as you notice, putting bishops out to diagonals, pawns, very little further movement. I am not trying to grab the centre at all here. But yeah, if you notice, my knights can come out onto these squares. But then they're just going to be forced back again by pawns. So by playing the way I have done, I've restricted what my knights can do. So I push the pawn so I can hopefully find a route for the knights. And I push the pawns again. And I bring the knights to these squares. Now, white has played everything perfectly fine. They've played opening principles correctly. Black hasn't. I still haven't castled. And whilst the opening principles are good so that you don't come out losing a game, you can still play, as I've shown here, not the optimal moves and still get a good position. So long as you don't give away material, drop loose pieces. Even though I am cramped and my pieces are not on the best squares, it's hard for white to attack them. Now, this might have seemed a mysterious move at the time, but I had to play this because I want to castle. If I had castled, first of all, if I'd castled first, then this now means that there's only one defender and there's 2 attackers. White would have come in, and the chances are, and unfortunately on this, with this mouse, I can't draw proper with the knight. The knight would have potentially come here. Potentially. You know where the knight goes. Unfortunately, I can't draw with my mouse at the moment. And I was aware of that, which is why I played h5. then the knight comes in and I will then castled. And now we just play a game of chess. My opponent potentially misunderestimated or did underestimate the pawns being in the center. I reroute a knight, they defended, and I take the opportunity to grab that dark squared bishop. Now, white no longer has a dark squared bishop, and straight away I saw the lineup of the bishop and the king on the same diagonal as my dark squared bishop, and straight away I saw the tactical shot and didn't know if my opponent would see it. They played d5 instantly, and then after bishop d4 they resigned as they are losing their queen. Now that's an example of how you can still not have the best opening, so long as you've not lost material, been significantly down, then you play a game of chess. Let's move forward to this position. Whilst I've played these moves, this is actually a well-known, well, maybe not well-known, but this is a known opening system. It's called the St. George Defence. I've played it many times over the years. I don't play it that often, but I remember some of the themes. I'm not suggesting you play this way, but it just goes to show that the opening principles of trying to control the centre doesn't always have to be with pawns. You can see that this bishop, these two bishops, are controlling parts of the centre. So it's not as straightforward as it seems. These pawns are controlling quite a part of the board, stopping white from coming forward. So this is still central control, albeit in a slightly different way, using my pieces and trying to encourage white to overextend their position. Now, the second game we played, I tried to follow opening principles in the center, control the center, get my pieces developed, and let's see how that one turned out. As you know, I ended up winning the game, but not through the opening. Again, it was more to do with tactics. So I played d4. My opponent brought the knight out. We're both trying to control parts of the center. My opponent does the same. Now, the moves I'm playing now are part of a opening system. And I know this opening system reasonably well. And my plan in this system is to not castle on the king side when the bishop comes to f5. This allows me to go for my attack on the king side and the swap off of the bishops, because my whole intention is to castle on the queen side. And castle on the queen side is what I do. It's move 12. I've got all my pieces developed. I've got a sense of central control. This bishop and this pawn are covering vital squares. in the center. This knight is also controlling or looking at a vital square in the center. My opponent has played a number of pawn moves, and they're still needing to develop 3 pieces and castle. They've not played the best opening. But as you saw in my first game, just because you play a good opening doesn't necessarily mean you win the game. You have to still be acute to all your opponent's threats and moves. My opponent was threatening to come into b4. I knew this was coming, so I decided to open the center and at the same time give my queen an escape square for the move that's about to come. Sure enough, it comes. Nice little escape square for my queen in the center, but also notice how it is looking directly at the king. And you'll have to excuse my arrows. It doesn't work very well on Lee chess. My mouse isn't the best. I need to find out why that is the case. My opponent carries on with their queenside attack. I ask the knight, where do you want to go? Knight goes back to where it came from. This allows me to swap off in the center and grab a pawn. Now, this is now out of the opening, and we are now into the middle game and tactics, and that's a little bit outside the comfort zone of this video. So I'll wrap that for now, but just to show that obviously, as you can see in this game, I had control of the center and I was able to use that to win a pawn in the middle game, and then eventually through some tactics at the end I won the game. Okay, and welcome back to the future. So how did those 2 games go? Well, game 1, as you saw, I decided not to follow those opening principles that we talked about in last week's video, and I played weaker moves in the opening. But as you can see, whilst I might have made not optimal moves in the opening, I wasn't losing out of the opening. And as you saw in that game, my opponent didn't see the threat that I had and lost their queen quite early on. That demonstrates that it's not opening play that wins you the game, it's your middle game and your tactics. And that is why we always say to people, practice your tactics, practice your tactics. And if you get out to the opening without losing too much material, that means not falling for scholar's mate, not dropping a knight for no reason at all. If you come out of that opening in good, reasonable, sound position, then you get a game of chess. And it's in the game of chess, through the middle game, and with the tactics, that will enable you to win the game. Next week's video, we're going to have another look at some tactics, because as you've seen in the 2 games today, it's the tactics that win you the games. Also, be on the lookout for a look back over the Lancashire Junior Chess Championship. That takes place this coming Sunday, 7th of June at Westholme School. We'll be crowning many junior champions, and I hope to put a video together about how that day turned out and introduce you to the new champions of 2026. If you like the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more content, consider subscribing. And I'll see you next week. Bye for now.